Hello Penguinauts, I am the Beardy Penguin and welcome back to Fall of Kerbin episode 6. Now last episode Tape destroyed our Osiris invasion fleet and thwarted our efforts to invade Osiris Fortress. However, he took some heavy casualties and we directed a pretty huge chunk of his fleet to the north, which means now we have an opportunity to destroy his fleet in the south and take control of the southern island chain. He's only got the USS Jupiter, aka the Bismarck, the USS Liberty, which is a small Dakka class destroyer which has had its arse blown off and all its engines destroyed, so he's just using it as a battery, now coastal gun battery, as Tape said many times during his last episode. And he's got the USS Centauri, the terror of the sea. So what we're doing is we're sending out our Blackheart 612 that we launched last turn, and we're going to go drop some bombs on the Bismarck, I mean Jupiter, and we're going to see if we can soften it up a little bit before our main southern fleet engages it. Because although I was confident that I was confident that we were going to win, I just wanted to give us as good a chance as possible to destroy Tape's southern fleet, so that we can drive him out of the southern island chain, because his invasion plans pretty much hinge around having control of this this island chain, and he's already started building bridges across, so we really need to push him back so that we can hopefully invade through the north, because our little landing didn't go particularly well last turn. So here we go. We just got our usual, 10 100-pound bombs, and then we've got our 4,000-pounders. So the 100-pounders just distract the AA guns, and then we've got 1,000-pounders to actually do the real amount of damage. Now, last time we tried to bomb a cruiser. Now, the Bismarck, USS Jupiter, is a much bigger target, but it can also take a hell of a bigger beating than a cruiser, so I guess it kind of balances out. So we do the usual thing, we turn back around, don't enter that AA gun range. He's got some pretty powerful anti-aircraft guns on the Bismarck, Jupiter, and on the Centauri. I should probably stop doing that, but well, it does have guns as big as steers and shells as big as trees, and well, we've got to sink it to the bottom of the sea, everybody. It's gonna happen. Tape told me, he was like, you're just gonna be making Johnny Horton references like your entire next episode, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, yes, Tape, I am very much going to be doing that, because as I said, the Bismarck, USS Jupiter has the same guns as the Bismarck, but our bombs do hit, but we don't do enough damage. I think we dropped them a little early, so although we do quite significant damage to those armor panels, we don't actually destroy anything. So we didn't actually do anything with that bombing run, but it was worth a try. But now we're going to bring in the big guns. Our southern fleet is now engaging. So the USS Liberty actually fires the first shot, just shoots straight over our bow. Tape's guns aren't particularly accurate, but now we're in engagement range. I decided, okay, you know what? We're going to launch the torpedoes straight away. So our two little class destroyers, the KUS Omega Goldfish and the KUS Jonas, just unleash all of their torpedoes on the enemy. See, our shots are coming in, they're starting to hit us now. So we just open up and just deploy all those torpedoes into the water, heading straight for the Bismarck, USS Jupiter. I really should stop doing that, shouldn't I? Nah, not really. And not only are these going to, well, obviously provide a pretty massive distraction for all the guns of the Bismarck, Jupiter, and the surrounding fleet, these also, well, if they actually get to the Bismarck, USS Jupiter, then they'll sink it to the bottom of the ocean. So it's definitely worthwhile launching our torpedoes early rather than late. So it's not very likely these are actually going to get through to the enemy, but they are going to distract their guns for a short time so we can get our opening salvo in. And here we go, we've got shots already coming in and hitting our fleet. Now that one was alright, but we've got our ships angled just so they're providing the slimmest possible target to the enemy while they can still get all of their guns actually firing at the enemy fleet. Now, we actually have a firepower advantage because the Centauri only has 6 guns facing us. I think the USS Jupiter has all of its guns just about facing us, but we've got 16 8-inch guns and 8 4.5-inch guns, and Tape's only got what, 4 5-inch guns, was it 6 15-inch guns and 6 8-inch guns that can actually fire at us. But our choice of weaponry is actually slightly better because we've got far more accurate guns, whereas Tape has gone for, well, much faster firing and bigger guns, but they're completely inaccurate, okay? And I've actually got much smaller ships than Tape here. So I've got 2 destroyers and 2 pretty small cruisers. But Tape's got obviously a massive battleship and a massive cruiser. The USS Liberty doesn't really count. I think we just put some shots in and blew its arse off for the second time. I don't think my cruisers and stuff, they just do not like the USS Liberty. Yeah, I think we destroyed the Liberty first, just like, we might as well get it out of the way. So these 15-inch shells coming in from the Bismarck, Jupiter, are doing a hell of a lot of damage, but they are not hitting us particularly often, because it's got about a 30-second reload time, which takes ages for it to get another salvo off at us. And when they do get a salvo off, like half the time they're actually missing my ships. They are targeting the cruisers, which are the bigger targets, but Tape's guns are just too damn inaccurate. And so we're just laying down a continuous fire of 8-inch shells. And yes, some of them are missing, but our guns are actually pretty damn accurate. And there you see, we've taken out the Liberty. So now we just have to focus on the Centauri and on the Bismarck, Jupiter. And as you see, that shot fell just a little short, went straight underneath my ship. I have to keep telling the Centauri to use its main guns, because it seems a little keen on using its flat guns, probably because we put torpedoes in the water. By this stage, it's actually blown up all of the torpedoes, so our torpedoes are out of the water now, so they're just focusing on us. We've got a shell that almost hits the Jesse Phillips there, and the Bjorn Sign is taking... Bjorn Signer, I believe it is. Yes, I actually had a conversation with the guys. Like, how do you pronounce your name? Okay, it's Bjorn Signer, I'm pretty sure. I think that's right. Okay, I'm gonna go with Bjorn Signer. So the Bjorn Signer is taking the bulk of the damage here, but it is also laying down a bit of a pounding itself, and we're getting some pretty good hits on the Centauri. It's not the terror of the sea anymore. So the Centauri has given us a hell of a lot of trouble, actually, over the past few turns, and I think it is about time that we sank it. So we are taking hits, but just so infrequently that they're not actually doing enough damage, whereas we've just got a continuous barrage of 8-inch shells and 4.5-inch shells that are just decimating Tape's fleet. And we've got, as I said, we have a firepower advantage with broadside on, and there you go, there's the Centauri. It's starting to sink. We've taken out its weapon manager, and the Centauri has gone down. So now it's just the Bismarck, USS Jupiter, and well, we've got to cut her down. Now, as I said, has 15-inch guns. They pack a hell of a punch, but now it hasn't got the Centauri or the Liberty to support it. Those guns fire far too infrequently. Now, I think battleships are going to come into their own after turn 10 when we get fire control radar, when we can actually fire up to 10 kilometers away. But at the moment, once you get within 5 kilometers, you really don't have that much of an advantage. The big advantage of those massive battleship guns is their range, and since we've restricted the range because we haven't got fire control radar just yet, I don't think battleships are quite living up to their full potential just yet. They should be a lot better after turn 10, but as you see, Tape hasn't managed to sink a single one of my ships, and now we're just decimating the Jupiter. They get a few more shots in at the Bjorn Signer, but it's just too little too late, really, and we're just laying down everything at it. 16 8-inch guns and 8 4.5-inch guns just pounding the side of it, and this thing put up a hell of a fight, actually. It took like a solid 5 minutes to sink this damn thing, but it just cannot live up to the amount of fire that we're just putting into the side of it. The first shell hit the Jupiter, and they knew she couldn't last. That giant Kerthenian battleship is just a memory. Sink the Jupiter was the battle cry that shook the 7 seas. Yes, more Johnny Horton references. You can never make too many Johnny Horton references. As you see, yep, another shot comes in, but it misses by a mile. I think, well, probably the ship's half on fire at this point and beginning to sink, so can't really blame them for not having particularly accurate shots, but now, yeah, it just doesn't really stand a chance now that it's supporting, or its escort ships are dead, and it's actually a pretty easy kill from the rest of our fleet. It just cannot keep up with the amount of fire we're putting down onto this thing. Now, if we hadn't launched our Osiris invasion, I'm pretty sure that Tape would have had far more cruisers down here, and we would not have been able to win this battle. So even though we had to lose the Jeffrey, the Poppy, and the Canesian Emperor, I think it was more than worth it, because we've completely decimated Tape's southern fleet. And there it goes. We hit the magazine, and the Bismarck, Jupiter, breathes its final breath and sinks to the bottom of the Aesir. Boom! There goes the ammunition and its secondary batteries. The Centauri is keeling over and beginning to sink as well, and it also breathes its final breath. And there we go. We've destroyed Tape's southern fleet with extreme prejudice. Our first naval victory. Of course, that's not the only assault we're making this turn. We're launching another Blackheart 612 bomber from our forward operating base in the north, because Tape has left all 4 of his tanks in a straight line. Thank you, Tape. It's really, really considerate of you to leave your tanks in a straight column for me to strafe with my bombs. So we've got 12 250-pound bombs and 2 1,000-pound bombs because, well, I was actually planning to continue on to Osiris Bay and bomb that, but then I decided against it because that would only leave us 2,000 bombs, 2,000 pounds worth of bombs, not 2,000 bombs, to actually drop on the tanks, and I didn't think that would actually be enough to ensure that they were destroyed. The Tape's also got some peregrines here, so we come in fast, go in quick, and we just drop all of our bombs straight onto these Minotaurs so we can take them out quickly, and then we can focus on the peregrines. So we drop all of those, all of our 250-pounders, then we just move out of the way, and then we dive bomb with our 1,000-pounders to make sure they're on course, just to finish off any stragglers if our 250-pounders get blown out of the sky. And they do a pretty good job of taking out a couple, but there's just too many bombs, and they just get obliterated. Just completely wiped off the map. Has there ever been a more beautiful sight than watching 4 of Tape's tanks explode in unison? Now, one of them has actually got a little bit of fight left in it. It actually flies some flak at us, but it doesn't do any damage. It doesn't actually hit us. And I do swap to it. I think, you know, have actually fully destroyed all of those tanks, so I swapped to the tank, I think about, yeah, now. And no, it just turns out there's just one left with a bit of a gun left, which has actually enabled it to take a few pot shots at us. But no, those tanks are very, very destroyed. But then we've got Tape's peregrines to worry about. Now we're in a giant sitting duck of a bomber, and these are attackers. Now they're not fighters. If we were up against fighters, I would have just run away immediately, okay? So if I had Sparrowhawks hunting us, we would have stood basically no chance whatsoever. I would have just run the hell away. But since they were peregrines, I thought, actually, maybe I can use this as a gunship and just take them out. So I start flying about and doing little runs on them with my AI gunners, just taking pot shots at them as they fly nearby and try and cut me down. Because this is a big bomber, so it can take quite a few hits. So, you know, I thought, okay, you know, I'm going to push my luck, actually. I'm going to see if I can take out these aircraft as well. That'll leave this base completely defenseless, and we can just roll straight over here next turn and just waltz into Valley's Guard. So we're getting some really good hits on these aircraft, and I think, yes, this is going really, really well. So, yeah, maybe using bombers as gunships actually kind of works. But then I was considering, I'm not really doing enough damage here, and I'm not sure whether I want to risk it. So I start heading for the mountains, thinking, oh, maybe I should run. But then I get a really, really good hit on that peregrine, and I think, you know what, maybe I can actually kill these aircraft. So I'm just going straight for them. See, the AI gunners are actually pretty damn accurate, and although the peregrine is returning fire with its tail gun, I'm just sort of dodging about a little bit, and there we go. We got a good hit, and we rip off, I think, a chunk of its right wing. And then this is where I make my mistake. I go in trying to dogfight in a bomber, and then its tail gun just shreds my right engine and half of my right wing, and oh dear, we're on fire, and we've lost an engine, and oh, that was a terrible, terrible idea. I don't know why I decided to try and dogfight with a giant twin-engine bomber. Was really not a particularly smart plan, was it? But no, there we go. So I really should have just run away. But we did destroy 4 of Tape's tanks, so he's going to feel that. He hasn't got any armor left in the north. His aircraft shouldn't be too much of a problem to take out. We don't have any aircraft apart from our southern bomber left, so Tape does have air superiority. I'm sure he's going to make us pay for that next turn. I did try to light up the aircraft with, since my gunners were still alive, but then one of them started lining up for a bombing run. I thought, okay, no, that's enough. I surrender, that's enough. But you're probably wondering, Beardy, why aren't you just charging straight over there with your tanks to finish off the aircraft and take the forward operating base? Well, I don't want to overextend. If I send forward 4 of my tanks and I take it, Tape will just push forward with his tanks and his aircraft and retake it, and it'll just be pointless. It'll just be a stalemate. So what I decided to do instead is launch some heavy tanks, and what we're going to do is we're going to smash Tape next turn. So we've got one PT-1B with a normal 3-inch gun, but then one with a 37mm flat gun, and that will provide long-range anti-aircraft fire to prevent Tape doing exactly what I did today. So next turn, we're going to roll in with 6 tanks and annihilate him. So we haven't actually got any more attacks this turn, so I just thought, okay, we're going to launch 2 destroyers, and these are going to escort these 2 supply ships down into the south to repair up our fleet from what little damage they took in our engagement earlier. And our 3rd naval launch is for a submarine. We're going to go raid some convoys, finally. I know it took a little while, it took quite a bit of working to get this submarine to work. It's actually really, really small. It's a Snares class. Now, I haven't given it a fancy name. It's just a submarine. It's not a ship. It's just a boat. So I just called it the S1, standing for Submarine 1. No fancy names here. Well, it's not going to do a particularly fancy or glorious job. It's just going to go murder defenseless merchant seamen. There you have it, Fall of Kerbin, episode 6. I'm aware it's been quite a short episode, but I actually had a pretty bad cold while I was recording this, which is probably why my commentary isn't particularly good this episode. But we hit Tape pretty damn hard, and next turn we're going to smash his forces in the north, and hopefully we can take Valley's Guard the turn after.